Seventh Heaven's been the top-rated show on the WB.
Are you a pedophile?
My friend just hanging himself.
About to be sued.
I'm innocent.
The majority of people don't know the true story.
A new investigation Discovery series exposes some of the scandals of life in the spotlight. Hollywood Demons includes stories about Stephen Collins of Seventh Heaven, child stars gone violent, Real Housewives gone bad, and more.
Addiction specialist Dr. Drew Pinsky is one of the contributors. He joins us now. Good morning, Dr.
Good morning.
Drew.
Good morning. I was sort of confused by the Walmart yodeler. I hope I wasn't introduced that way.
You're just the warm-up guy for the Walmart yodeler.
That's good, as long as I'm not actually the Walmart yodeler.
Yeah, no, we didn't want to put too much pressure on you. You know, let me ask you this. It's interesting you're involved in this. I remember watching you on Celebrity Rehab years ago. What is it about being a celebrity that you found after talking to people over the years that the impact that has on the rest of their lives when that goes away?
Well, you're asking a series of questions here, which is, what does celebrity impact on a human being? And obviously there's special considerations. First of all, what are the kind of people that seek celebrity? Mm-hmm. And my research, I'm the only published research on this in the world, and we were able to show with our research that certain childhood traumas, a proclivity to narcissistic personality styles and defense strategies tends to cause people to seek celebrity as a solution to those problems. And of course, it is no solution for those problems. So you start with those issues. The other thing is people imagine that somehow there's like a separate diagnostic or treatment manual for celebrities, which there is not.
Yeah.
They are the same as everybody, and if you treat them differently, the outcomes are bad. Standard of care, look at Michael Jackson. The standard of care is the standard of care for a reason. Yeah. And then finally, you asked if they lose it, which is a really interesting question. So people that are celebrities, other than the very, very huge celebrities, talk about the stress of being a celebrity. They're really talking about the stress of maintaining celebrity. Their fear is losing it or being exposed some way. A lot of them have imposter type syndromes. But child stars have a very special burden with this. And that's one of the things we investigate. I think it's on this week, where they do lose essentially their family. They spend few formative years in these very tight-knit situations, very intense environments where they're highly parentalized and everybody disappears overnight. And that does tend to have a real impact.
I wonder, Dr. Drew, if we heard a lot of these horror stories with child stars in the 70s, and so you would have thought maybe some people had learned some lessons along the way. Did it ever get any better, or is it the same problem over and over again?
It is the same problem for the same reasons, really. Look, Danny Bonaducci was a friend of mine years ago, and he would always say, look, parents that want that really push their kids into this situation, already there is a liability there. Then there is the parentalization of a child. They're all around adults all the time with adult responsibilities. Then there is this pseudo family they develop, which these sort of false relationships that, again, only last for a certain period of time. I remember back in the 90s when I was working on Loveline on MTV, it was a lot of fun. We got very close relationships, and it just vanished overnight. I was an adult, and I was like, whoa, this is disturbing that all these people who we worked with for years, you never see them again.
Yeah.
So in addition to a child star episode that you have, there's one about Stephen Collins, who was formerly on Seventh Heaven. Is that the one that's coming up soon?
No, that's the one that's airing right now. You can see it on Max, and it was so many of these things for me were shocking. I'd heard stories. I maybe was sort of aware of the zeitgeist of many of them. But when I dug into them, it was quite troubling, quite disturbing. And there's the one that sort of stands out for me when I talk about how revealing these stories were for me was we have a housewife series, and I interviewed Taylor Armstrong, who I've known for a long time. And I thought I understood what happened to her husband. But when I sat down and got into it in great detail, I walked away with some disturbing ideas, let's say.
Oh, yeah, that was a famous story from one of the Housewives episodes there. And also talk about, there's a whole series on people that stalk Hollywood stars.
Yeah, and I had a stalker, and I've not seen the whole thing put together yet, but I noticed the producers were asking me lots of questions about my stalker, so I guess you're going to see that. I've had a series, anybody that's had a public life has had stalkers. Mine was someone with psychotic illness and got very violent and threatening, and it was interesting. The LA DA has a very, very well-developed stalker unit, and they kicked into action. And when they caught the guy, through a very elaborate sort of chase, they were surprised that I wanted him to get treatment and not prison. They were like, oh, whoa, most people want them like put away, gone away forever.
Yeah.
I said, no, I know what this is. It has treatment. Now, if he doesn't participate in treatment or he escapes treatment or he fails treatment, okay, well, now that's on him. That's on him now.
Wow. Well, you can watch Hollywood Demons Mondays on Investigation Discovery and streaming on Max. More on the socials. Dr. Drew, great to speak with you.
Good to see you guys. I miss Chicago. I got to get out there.
Yeah, come on by anytime.
Q101 days on radio. We miss them.
All right.
Thanks, Dr. Drew.